This video will be unlike any other video I've made in the past. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on the channel before, but I've been a Pokemon card collector for many years now. I mainly buy vintage cards, and I have a collection of lots of PSA 10 base set holos, and I've got some shining cards, you know. I like the really old stuff. And to be honest, I think this topic is pretty good for the channel, seeing as how I already cover Pokemon related stuff. I've also shared this same passion with plenty of other people in the Pokémon space. I've met lots of collectors on my team, on other teams. I think there's some genuine interest for this stuff. There's a lot of overlap between PokeMMO and people that collect the cards. I wanted to bring up what this alleged fraud that almost got the better of me, and just kind of spread the awareness about it. This is quite frankly one of the most insane situations I've ever seen in the TCG collecting sphere. Now, what this has to do with are these really interesting old Pokemon cards called the Playtest cards. There was many different releases of them, and essentially what they were, from my knowledge, or what they were being advertised as, were internal playtest cards that were used before the creation of the TCG. There were many different variants of these cards, some of them even being signed by one of the creators of the TCG, Takumi Akabane. Their authenticity has been called into question many different times due to how many of them surfaced at once, and how most of them are in like completely immaculate condition. I'm talking entire auction blocks of these were like PSA 9 and 10, and these are meant to be from over 20 years ago. All of them were graded by a specific card grading company called CGC. And what's crazy about this is I was actually heavily considering participating in one of these auctions that ended on the 19th. It was an entire block of them in really great condition. My favorite looking one was the Articuno, and all of them sold for over $1,000. Here's the auction block I was referencing, all the ones by ZNG Emporium, and also I guess this one also ended around the same time. Yeah, these are all beta playtest cards, graded by CGC, and as you can see, all of them are like 9s and 10s, like insanely good condition, and all of them sold for like over $1,000. Now, I won't be going super deep into all this because, quite frankly, I'm not as knowledgeable as some of the other collectors about this type of stuff, like when it comes to print quality or what actually goes into making a card. But I'll be linking in the description this very detailed post by this guy PFM on the forum Elite Forum. And essentially what this goes through, he goes in depth about how these printers have this metadata, and he's able to determine that some of these cards were most likely printed in 2024, as you guys can see here. Personally, I have no idea how a multi-million-dollar grading company wouldn't be able to catch something like this, but a collector on this forum was somehow able to. If you guys want to go through this yourselves, it's a great read. He goes through how some of these, there's different sets that are clearly a higher quality than some of the other ones, such as this Dratini and this Pikachu being like way worse quality than this like pristine 10 and this Gem Mint 10 one. And what's particularly compelling about this is this guy that made this this in-depth analysis. He's somebody that's been a believer of these, supposedly, and he says right here, like, taking into consideration the personal stake you have in these cars, you're the GOAT, and he goes, I will lose thousands, which is terrible, but I feel like that adds to his credibility. I'll also be linking another video by the creator OKJLove in the description. I've watched a ton of his videos, and that's how I found out about this. He put out a video like a couple hours ago talking about this whole situation, and he goes through this forum post in a much more detailed way than I ever could. So I'll send that there. But yeah, I think it goes without saying that I will not be buying any graded cards from CGC for the foreseeable future. If this is all real, it's incredible how all these cards could have slipped through the cracks, gotten graded so high by such a trustworthy company, or I guess supposedly trustworthy company. It's insane. If you guys want more updates on this sort of thing, slash, you know, videos talking about my collection, or just Pokemon cards in general, I'd be happy to make them. Please leave a comment if you liked the video. It would mean a lot to me.